3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. Today is a really special event. We are trying a lot of technology here out in the field for our freshwater live connection. So we are just outside Nordegg in Northern Alberta. We are using Starlink for our connectivity, so it might go in and out during the call. We have lots of special kit, including microscopes and drones and wireless microphones and things that we're trying to run back here, but I think it's going to go pretty well. So many of you joining are part of our Freshwater Live program. You've already met some of the team in introduction events. You've had a chance to ask some questions, but we have the whole team together here out live in the field. So we're going to meet everybody right now. Then we're going to start getting into some of the action. So we have Dalal Hanna hanging out here next to me.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. It's so awesome to bring you out to some of our field sites.
All right, very cool. We have not met Ross Donihue yet. There we go.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm a geographer and I make maps, and I can't wait to share some of my work with you all today.
Perfect. And then we've got Jaacks hanging out with us.
Hey, everybody. It's great to have you here. It's great to be here. And I'm a filmmaker and a photographer, and I'm helping to document the action out here in the field. So looking forward to showing some images and hanging out.
All right, perfect. So we arrived a couple days ago. We had a big drive out in our truck. Maybe we'll show you our truck at some stage. It is covered in mud and dirty. Thank goodness it was 4x4 yesterday. I think we would have gotten stuck in some of those spots. But we want to show you everything. We explored some rivers. We explored some creeks, which are our target sites for the big freshwater quality samples and macro blitzes that we're going to be doing. And we want to bring you into that live with us today. So the very first thing we're going to do is try and use the drone to follow Dalal out into the field to Shonda Creek and collect some insects that we're going to show you. Yeah, there we go. There's our drone, our Mini 4. And we're going to show you some of those insects up close and personal towards the end of the event. So I'm going to turn this drone on, and with any luck, it is going to connect. And then you might just have to tap the screen to get it back on. Okay. A nice beeping sound from the drone. Oh, yes. Here we go. The drone camera is on. There we go. All right. Do you guys want to head outside with that? Get it in position.
Okay, I'm going to walk y'all out to the creek. Let's see if we can find our way.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to put my camera off so we get a nice view. There we go. And we're going to head out. We're going to take off, and we are going to follow. I've got the remote here. I'm going to fly from the kitchen here at our wilderness hostel. And there we go. We are outside. I'm going to bring Dalal in because we should have her via mic from outside. So let's see if this works out for us. Oh, she might have to unmute. We might have to get her to unmute for us. I think she's on mute. Oh, no, maybe not. No, we got her. Dalal, can you hear me?
Joe, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we got you. Okay, I'm going to take off now. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, here we go. Let's take off. We got a nice charge on our battery.
Take off. Home point updated.
Excellent.
Sweet. Taking off.
Yeah, we got you loud and clear on mic. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but
I'm going to start walking us to this creek that's close to the place we're staying at. And we didn't really think we'd be here today, but I am so happy to be here because every time I do field work, I love trying to find as many freshwater bodies as possible and just going out to find insects at them and take a look at what they're like. The creek that I'm headed to right now is called Shonda Creek. It's in Alberta, in the Nordegg region. And this creek is actually a little bit bigger than the creeks that I typically visit for the research I do and the work I do looking at impacts of human actions on water. But what's cool about this creek is that all the creeks that we're visiting for our research kind of flow into this creek. And then this creek in turn flows into the North Saskatchewan River, which we checked out yesterday and we might show you some footage of later. And so rivers and freshwater is like this network of water flowing all over the landscape, and it starts off small, and then each time that a little stream flows into the next stream, typically that stream just gets bigger and bigger until we find our way to some larger rivers, and eventually to even larger rivers that lead us all the way to the ocean. And this creek that we're about to head to, Shunda Creek, is kind of like my vision of an ideal creek. So beautiful, filled with rocks, and there's riffles and pools, like different sections of the water moving in different ways. And what's awesome about that different type, or those different types of water, is that they all provide habitat for different kinds of insects. So if you go to a freshwater body that has a lot of diversity of types of groups of rocks and deep pools, then that's when you start to find a lot of diversity of insects. All right, we're almost at the spot I want to go to gather some insects so we can then show them to you. I'm just going to turn up here.
Okay, so we've got Dalal down at the river. We just lost her mic. So Ross is going to run out and see if we can get that back. I'm going to slowly lower the drone through the trees to the river. And then with any luck, that beeping you're hearing is the drone saying it's not happy with how close I am to trees. There's Dalal. I'm going to go up a little bit because it's really not happy. There we go. That should get the signal back, and that should turn the beeping down a little bit. I was hoping we get a little bit closer, but I think once we drop below those trees, we just kind of lose that connection a little bit. Dalal. Oh, she's completely gone. I think she needs to come back into the room itself. If we can get her back into the room. Yeah. Yeah. But what she's doing right now, you can see that she's got the net and she's flipping over rocks. Let me go a little bit closer. So she's down there. She's got her Water Rangers backpack on. She's in the flow of this creek, and she is flipping over rocks to try and find little insect larvae that like to live under these rocks. You can see she's scraping in the water. She's scraping in underneath the rocks. So that's what she's doing right now in the net, trying to get us some of those macroinvertebrates, some of those insects that we can check out. There she is looking up. I'm flying a little blind right now. I don't know if there's a tree in front of me. Okay, I think she's happy with her sample. So I am going to go up. Let's see. Yep, I think she's making her way back. Perfect. I'm going to go up higher now, and I want to show you guys the landscape that we're in right now. I want to show you the mountains in the background. We're just outside of the Rockies. That beeping is gone, so the drone is happy. I think she's on her way back, but look at this beautiful landscape. Look at these trees. Look at the mountains, the Rockies in the background. Let's do a little pan around. So on our way in, it was at night a couple nights ago, and we hit the edge of this thunderstorm, this wild lightning thunderstorm. It dropped some snow on the tops of the mountains. I think it's melted now, but this gives you a real feel. We're looking out towards the Rockies right now. In this shot, we're looking out towards the west. And then if we move across a little bit more, you can see a little bit of where we are here, just outside Nordegg in Alberta. There's some more of the creek, Shonda Creek, going further in the other direction. And then if we continue to pan around a little bit, there's some more kind of interesting looking mountains here to the east that I want to check out before I fly the drone back home. This is a nice flight. It's a beautiful morning. Just starting to warm up. Oh, somebody just came back in. Dalal, can you hear? Oh, she won't be able to hear me. Oh, you can text her and tell her we hear her now. But I think she's making her way back. But look at these mountains here. Beautiful. And then that little green roof there, that's where we are at the Shonda Creek hostel, wilderness hostel. I'm going to look down and see if we see Dalal walking back. There's where we were at the creek. Let's go fly. Let's find Dalal. See how close she is. I definitely hear her. She's the one working hard while we're here lazy with all the technology and the... Oh, there she is. I found her.
Oh.
We got her sound back too. I think she might have just realized. Let's get down there and follow her back.
Oh, okay. Maybe everyone can hear me. I have no idea. I can't hear what's going on there. And I don't know if maybe my mic was actually not functional that entire time. I was talking a bunch about streams and how connected and cool they are, and how you can how when I flipped those rocks over there, I actually saw a ton of mayflies and a couple of caddisflies. And I'm going to bring them back now and show them to you. I don't know what else you heard and missed, so I guess we'll figure that out when I get back there. But this is the nature of fieldwork. Everything is always moving. You're trying to figure out what you're doing on the go, and you got to just adapt to how things are happening. Depends on the weather, depends on the situation. It depends on so much what you're able to do in a day. And that's something I think Ross will tell you a bit about. Like for our work, we try and find these sites, and sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not, and sometimes it's impossible to get to them. Anyhow, I'll see you back in there with some bugs.
All right, so she's coming back in. We will have her here momentarily. The drone is landing. Should be landing in front of the window here shortly. There it is, landing in the parking lot. Beautiful. We'll get her on the ground. And we are down. Perfect. All right, let's switch. Let's get the camera back on in here. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that little drone flight. Dalal, you're back in here. We heard a lot from the river, but we lost you kind of maybe just as you were doing some scraping under the rocks.
Okay.
So we watched you doing under the rocks, and then we got you. We found you again.
And did you hear what I was saying on the way there about kind of the different? Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was flipping those rocks, and I think what's so cool about going to a stream like the one I was just at is the amount of life that's in there. There's every single rock I picked up, I could see at least 10 different insects on it. And they're really small. I'll show you what they look like now in a bit. But they're just fascinating. And those streams are booming with life that you really don't notice unless you stop and take a moment to look at them and inspect a little more closely. And there's all kinds of different insects there. One of the things I said, which I'm not sure if you caught or not, was just at this time of year, the benthic invertebrates are often quite small because it's kind of getting cold. The season is wrapping up. Many of them are getting ready to actually kind of go into a dormant state over the course of the winter. They're going to bury themselves in the mud and try and protect themselves from the cold. There are even some types of insects that release an antifreeze so that they can stay warm throughout the winter under the mud and manage to survive these long winter months. Some of them won't survive the long months ahead, but many of them will. And within the next year, they'll emerge in their adult form, which are these insects that fly around, called mayflies or stoneflies or caddisflies. There are tons of different species of them. And yeah, I can't wait to show you some up and close, but I
All
just
right.
love looking in these streams. This one is a beautiful one.
It is a beautiful stream. And thank you for taking us out there. Why don't you get some friends ready, and we'll talk to Ross and Jason a little bit about their parts of the project.
That sounds great.
Okay. All right. Ross, I know you have your screen sharing here, so let's get that into the call, and let's talk a little bit about the mapping, how we found the sites, some of the sites that we visited yesterday, and let's get into that. So I'm going to bring in your screen, and then we'll put it on you because we want to see you.
Wonderful. Hey, everyone. So while Dalal gets little critters ready for showing you, I'm going to show you a little bit of the mapping work that we're doing and how we get out to these sites. So here you can see we're using Google Earth here. Google Earth is such a great tool for exploring the world. You know, maps do such an incredible job of sparking that curiosity. They're really great for getting you from point A to point B, but they also help you communicate information about a place and help us all understand it, even if you live thousands and thousands of miles away. So I want to just zoom in a little bit here and show you where we are. So our whole team flew into Edmonton, Alberta, and then we drove south towards Red Deer, and now we're over here in Nordegg. You can see this is right next to all these mountains here. Now, Dalal has done a significant analysis to identify these field sites for all of us. And you can see them here in yellow. This is a subset of field sites. And for our work here, we decided we're going to go out and ground truth these sites because you can only do so much from a computer. You have to get out into those sites to really discover what it's like on the ground. So yesterday we left Nordegg and we started going up these roads. It had rained the night before and the roads were super muddy. We have a 4x4 with us, thank goodness. And our tires were slipping. We were going up these steep Forest Service roads. And luckily we didn't get stuck, but it was nerve-wracking. I was driving and I was just, you know, nervous the whole way. But we were able to get to this first site here. And you can see there's a nice road pretty close by. So we were thinking this will be a pretty easy site to find. Right here, it's a little hard to tell, but this is actually a beaver pond. And we got out and looked at this area, kept going up the road, and tried to find the stream, but we couldn't find it. For some reason, the river that we thought was there wasn't actually there. It was a small creek that is dried up. And so we were kind of questioning, oh man, I hope all the other sites aren't like that too. But what we decided to do was go up to ground.
I'll just pop back in very briefly. It looks like we might have lost them again ever so briefly, but we're going to get them back in just a second. While we're waiting for them to come back, and hopefully that's the next few seconds or so, I've got a Kahoot already for Freshwater Live. So we can play that actually if they don't come back in the next few seconds, and we'll do a little 4-question quiz together and some cool freshwater stuff to reinforce some main freshwater concepts together. And then we should have our team back, Joe, Ross, Dalal, everyone there. But that was a very, very cool drone footage. We've actually never done that. 3,500 plus broadcasts of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants have a live drone fly around. So lucky you guys are getting to be involved in that. Yeah, drones for all the trips now. We'll try that, Mr. Hancock, because it is pretty amazing to have that even with the audio cutting. Joe, you're back.
Yeah, well, I'm using a little bit of other connectivity here while we see if the Starlink comes back. Ross is just getting his screen back up so we can show you a little bit more of the mapping. How did the drone look?
The drone
did it turn out okay?
I mean, it's so beautiful. We lost a little bit of the audio, obviously, when you were in the stream, but like how incredible to get to explore that landscape live, flying behind Dalal as she goes off and flips over rocks in a stream thousands and thousands of kilometers for most of our students today. That is pretty special.
Yeah. Okay. Ross is back in. We're going to continue the mapping, and then we want to show you the North Saskatchewan River. So let's get Ross back in. Boom.
Great.
Boom.
So I just want to show you a couple other things. So these are all of those sites I was mentioning. So we drove up another big road here. This is the 40. And as you zoom in, you can actually see some details on this landscape, right? We see some connected forest areas, but we also see some places where there's been timber harvesting. Timber harvesting and its impact on fresh water is a big component of this project. And so aerial imagery and satellite imagery help us to better understand what it's like on the ground. But again, going there in person is when we really make those discoveries and can see what it's like in real life. And so here we made it all the way up to this point here, and there's a beautiful, beautiful stream. It had a rocky bottom, and Dalal went in and looked at some of the little macroinvertebrates. It was so fun, and this confirms that the analysis that we're doing, we have a lot more confidence in it, and the scientists that are going out into the field will be prepared to go and sample those sites. And so for the rest of our time here, we're going to keep exploring this region. We're going to go into more of this mountainous region. It's between Banff National Park and Jasper National Park. And you can see some of the beautiful landscape that we're right next to. So I challenge you all to use maps, explore maps. They spark curiosities. That's why I love maps. And they help tell stories and connect people with places. So with that, we're going to hand it back over to Joe, and Dalal's got some things to show.
All right. We are almost at the show and tell stage. Before we do that, I guess it's still show and tell. We visited the North Saskatchewan River yesterday, and that was a site we were scouting out to hopefully go live from. But unfortunately, the connectivity with the Starlink just wouldn't allow it. But we can still take a little look at that video here together. So let me share that video here with you now. You can see what it's like flying a drone down the beautiful North Saskatchewan River, and it should be coming in there live for you guys right about now. All right, so you can see this beautiful color. It's a glacial fed river. It's got this beautiful deep blue color. It was a nice clear day, the forest along each side. We did a little searching for macroinvertebrates and got pretty lucky. We found a few yesterday in the river. But that one was a bit more trickier for us to explore because it gets deep pretty quickly. It's not like the creek that Dalal was in this morning, where she was able to get right into some of that rushing water and find some of those macroinvertebrates. If you watch up here, we're going to come around the corner and then we are going to see the team on the side of the river. There's some nice fall colors coming in up here, but it's a lot of conifers up here. So a lot of evergreens, not as much of the deciduous trees, which are going to be losing their leaves right about now. But there is some beautiful golds here as well. But we wanted to show you the South Saskatchewan River. It's a beautiful river. Many of the creeks that were here, our field sites are on, feed in their tributaries of this river. So they feed into this river. So it's really important for us to come and take a look at this North Saskatchewan River. There you can see us there on the bank. Very, very cool. I'm glad we could bring a little bit of that river to you guys. So I'm going to switch my phone here. We're going to get a different camera going here. And then I want to show off some of Jason's gear. So he is an amazing filmmaker. He's got all kinds of gear out here. We're grabbing B-roll and things like that. So he's going to be able to show us a little bit of his gear. And then it's looking like Dalal's having a good time picking out some life over there. So I think we're going to have some stuff to show you there really soon. My next camera should be coming live right now. And I'm going to switch cameras so we don't get double feedback. Here we go. Okay. Perfect. We are in. Okay.
No feedback on. Good luck. I flicked. Maybe if we, I don't know how you want to do this. I'll leave you to play around with it for a second. When you've got multiple computers in one room, I don't know if you've ever experienced this class.
There's way too much feedback. So I'm just going to turn I'm just going to do
We
this.
can just here. Tell you what, I can come pop this over too. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so my name's Jason Jaacks. I'm a filmmaker, and that means I have to bring a lot of equipment into the field with me. And I used to. I'm also a college professor, and one of the jokes I tell my students is that being a filmmaker means that you really run a moving company, and sometimes you get to take pictures because there's just a lot of equipment to bring around. So I've got one of the camera setups that I have here with me. And what's really amazing, about this stuff now is that it has gotten significantly smaller from when I started doing this kind of work. So what we've got here is a kit that I can basically fit into a backpack, which is really nifty. So that includes the lens and then the camera body, of course. And what I've built out here is a way to make it portable so that I can haul it around in the backcountry. This is a really useful kit to be able to take into a backpack or to, take into really remote places and just to not, have all of the same stuff. So you can actually see here, this is going to be a little meta, but now you can look at me through the, let me just go back out here. And so there's what I'm able to look at through this monitor that's on the top of my camera. And I can also see that down in this other monitor down here. So I have a way to look at the camera with this monitor, and then, the lens, the camera, and then just a way to make it comfortable for myself to hold. And then a mic to be able to capture the sound of what we're actually recording. So what's really cool about the filmmaking equipment these days is you guys have really powerful little cameras probably with you, right? And this is quite a bit more stuff to carry, and really it only buys you actually a little bit more power than a cell phone, right? And so the cool thing about being a filmmaker, the thing that I really enjoy about making images and telling stories is that all this technology is now available to you guys as well. So I'd encourage you when you're out, exploring around, being out with friends or out in the wilderness by you out in parks and everything, you've got a really, really cool and powerful tool here in a cell phone to be able to document the world around you with pictures and with video. So I'd encourage you guys to think about how you can use technology that you have available, because sometimes it's hard to get all this stuff put together. But it's really fun to think about how to document the world around you with a really powerful camera that fits right into your pocket. So
Awesome.
yeah.
How are we doing over there?
Great. I'm ready to show you guys some cool insects.
Okay, perfect. Let me make sure we have your phone feed in, and then we'll switch gears and we'll come over and we will check out some insects. So let's see. Okay, you might have to turn your camera on, Dalal. It might be off right now.
Okay, let's check that out. Sorry.
That's okay. We have a lot of cameras on the go right now, a lot of different microphones, but for the connectivity that we have right now, I think things are going about as smoothly as they can.
Okay, I'm coming.
All right. There, camera's on.
Okay. Do you see anything? Not yet. Okay, cool. So what I wanted to show you, this is the tray. I dumped everything that I had in my net earlier into this white tray because the white background is really helpful for seeing insects. And then I put some cool ones on this rock. And then I've got this little fancy lens. It's a $100 lens, but there's also other ones that are like $10. They're macro lenses. And I'm going to clip it onto my camera. So I want to show you, right now, you don't see much, right? It looks like a bunch of leaves in a rock. Give me a second here. We'll just get this lens going. It's going to be weird for a moment, but here we go. I'm going to zoom in. And let's see what we can find. My insects are moving, so. Okay, well, I've got one here, so I'll zoom in on that one. Just got to go back to my camera so I can see what I'm doing. Do you still see me if I do that?
We still see the camera.
Okay, sweet. That's great. Okay, so I'm zooming in on this leaf. And, whoa, what's going on here?
Oh, we just had the camera drop. We might have lost our connectivity for a moment.
Okay, do you still see it or no?
No.
No. Okay, maybe it has to do with me going to camera mode. Let's see. Worst case, I can get some videos and show them to you, but I'm going to go back onto StreamYard.
Oh, there, we got it back.
Okay, so I think I have to be on StreamYard, which means I'm going to have trouble seeing what I'm doing, but let me find something cool. Okay, how about this one? So you see how that appears to be like nothing on a rock? But then, if we zoom in, you get a bit of a view there of an insect. Those are its eyes, its legs, its gills. So that's one of our critters. These are beautiful. That is a mayfly. So commonly known by scientists as Ephemeroptera. Okay, and here's the other one I wanted to show you. So this is a Trichoptera. These are caddisflies, and they build these incredible little homes with rocks. This one probably got taken out of its home as I shuffled my net into the water, but look at it move around there. See its head. It's moving on the rock. This one's really squirmy. It likes to be under leaves. It likes to be hidden. It's used to being in a home. They build homes out of little tiny rocks and put them all together into these like sleeping bag-like homes. I love these ones. I also earlier saw a black fly larva, so I'm going to see if I can find it again because they've got this incredible cute part of them, but I think it's disappeared. All right, let's check out this one. That's another mayfly. Sorry. There it is. Okay, and if I zoom out again, as you can see, we don't see much there, really. But when you look a little bit closer, there is so much going on. And you can actually see quite a bit of this just like without any special lens on your phone. So this is just my regular phone. And here we can see that insect, but with the special macro lens, you can get an even closer look and a more kind of close-up look into every feature and detail of their body. I'll just put it on one more time to show you. And then we'll move on to our next part. Okay, there it is. You see its eyes, its tails. These insects are incredible. They have like external gills on their bodies that float around in the water. And they use them to breathe, to capture oxygen from the water. Let's see if we can see any moving in the water. There's one moving. They squirm around real quick. So there, oh, what we're seeing right now is actually those gills moving. I don't know if you can spot the insect. I'm trying to get as close as I can without being in the water.
Yeah, you've got like a soup there of life. There's tons of things moving around in there right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay. What do we want to cut to next?
All right, I think we should play a little Kahoot action, and while that's loading, we should go to Q&A action.
Sounds great.
Okay, let's get in position, and let's do a little Q&A action with the classrooms.
Lovely. Well, I'll queue up our Kahoot together, everyone. I've already put the game pin in the chat, but I'll bring this up on screen as well. If you are new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get, and what you win is the entire Freshwater Live team's everlasting respect. So please do feel free if you got your own Chromebooks or anything else you want to play along with that. If you want to just yell out the answers in your class, if you don't want to play along, that's fine too. But just pull up Kahoot.it with that game pin in a separate tab, and we are going to go live with a little 4-question quiz here in just a second before we dive in with your questions for Joe and the entire Freshwater Live team.
All right, so I'm actually going to jump the gun a little, Jesse. While classrooms are joining, I'm going to pick on a few camera classrooms so we can start working questions in while the Kahoot's loading up. So remember, Kahoot.it, there's your game pin, 636-2107. Of course, your teacher could pop this up at the front of the room and you could shout out your answers to him or her. But let's start visiting some of our classrooms and let's start taking our first group of questions. Let's get all in here with me. There we go. All right. A little more lions. Let's get you in here front and center. How are we doing today?
Elvis hair. That's Elvis.
We gotcha.
No, we're Elvis.
Oh, hello.
There. Awesome. How's it going, boys and girls?
Good.
Perfect. Who's got a question for us?
Questions?
What questions? Whatever questions you may have. Comments?
That's okay. We can jump to another group if you need another minute to think.
We loved Alberta. We loved seeing the scenery.
All right, very cool. If you guys do have a question, pop it in the private chat for us. Let's jump to another live classroom. Ontario, Mr. Hancock's crew, how are we doing today? Mr. Hancock, can you hear us? Might be a bit of a delay. Yeah, okay.
I think he's muted.
I don't think he's muted. It looks unmuted. We just didn't hear him. Let me experiment here and see now if the Starlink is back because I switched over.
From my end, I will note we are breaking the all-time Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Freshwater Live record for most different kinds of internet incorporated into a broadcast. So it looks like we might have Joe and Dalal back. Oh, maybe. Are they muted now? Is everybody muted? I don't know anymore.
We shouldn't be muted. Can you hear us, Jesse?
Yes. Cool.
Okay. We can't hear Mr. Hancock, though. Can you hear him?
No.
Okay. So something's going. Oh, sorry, Mr. Hancock. If you want to put the questions in the chat, we'll grab some from there. I don't know why it's not working there. It's our Starlink troubles are bleeding over into the other classrooms. Okay, let's play some Kahoot, and then we'll go to Q&A action. All right,
Perfect.
Jesse, I know you've got to leave soon, so we'll get the Kahoot going.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And apologies that I have to run off, but this has been so much fun. And thank you all for signing in. So let's do a few quick questions together. All right. Freshwater Live. We're going to count down in 3, 2, 1. And Dalal, if you want to give us little hints for any of these, we'd love to have a little support in the final few seconds. True or false? All insects in streams die over the winter. We've got this very frozen looking picture. I wouldn't want to be in that water, as beautiful as it is. Can the insects survive that? What do we think? True or false? Do they all die or do some of them live? Hopefully some of them live. What are our thoughts? 24 of you have your answers in. Dalal, what do we think?
I think we talked earlier about some antifreeze.
Yes, antifreeze. So false. That is correct. Most of you got that right. Way to go, everybody. Nicely done. Excited ant, fittingly an insect, takes our lead in the Kahoot. That's awesome. We'll go to question
not all
2.
insects can produce antifreeze, but some can, and many of them just bury themselves.
That's what I would do when I get cold, is bury myself under blankets. Now, this is literally in the picture, and you mentioned it live. Caddisfly larvae, common stream creature, build armor using stream rocks. I had to incorporate this question. I didn't even know we were going to talk about these, but it's just the coolest thing that happens in streams ever. Imagine you're just walking through your house, and you're like, pillow, stick it to yourself, phone, stick it to yourself, and you build yourself a suit of armor. It's insane, and yes, it is true. I love it.
I like to think of them as sleeping bags.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Beautiful. Creative Gator. Takes our slight lead as we go into question 3. I got a few more in about water in this one. What percentage of the world's water is fresh and not locked up in ice? So the oceans are salt water. The ice caps are all ice. We're on fresh water today. We're talking about our rivers and streams. Is it 90% of water in the world is fresh? 50%? 10%? Or roughly 1%? What do we think? 2 seconds. Big mix in this one. Everyone's all over the place. It is about 1%, which is insane. It's why it's so important to study freshwater habitats like these streams and rivers and protect them and understand them, because it's such a small proportion of water in the world is drinkable, fresh, accessible for the wildlife. So kudos for you for getting out there and ground truthing it, as we discussed a little earlier.
And home to so much biodiversity. That's what I find incredible. Like freshwaters are a small amount of water in the world, but they house so much of the world's biodiversity. There are like so many species of insects and fish and animals that live in freshwaters and rely on them, sort of including us.
You were playing around in the stream for like a minute, and you came back and you got this teeming, hub of biodiversity. It's insane. I absolutely love it. So stick to that point. Cygnus Delaire is in our lead as we go into question 4. What river are we hanging out by today? So we went to the stream today. We've been talking about a river a lot over the course of the broadcast. It's right nearby. Is it the Athabasca, the St. Lawrence, the North Saskatchewan, or the Mississippi? All great rivers. All fantastic. Hopefully you get the chance to visit them all. But what is our winner? And at the end, we're going to have a little podium. If you are on the podium, let us know where you're joining from. 26 answers in. North Saskatchewan is correct. Very good. Yes. And
We're
our stream
really close to the Athabasca, but we're closer to the North Saskatchewan.
Fantastic. There you go. That explains our split. Funny Dog is third. Second is Brave Bear. And first, for all the marbles, drum roll, dun, 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 is... Oh, Stellar Crew, way to go. If you are any of these folks, let us know who you are in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Dalal, Joe, I'm going to turn it back over to you because I'm running to another broadcast. So hopefully the connection works out great and we can explore some more great freshwater stuff. But kudos to our Cahooters.
All right, Jesse, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks.
Okay, you're stuck with us now. Hopefully the technology holds out for a good Q&A session. Let's get right into it because I know we don't have a ton of time. Miss Wells,
oh, we're live. Hi, sorry. We got phys ed now, so they're getting ready to go. One of my students did ask, so if you studied any other types of animals.
Yeah, definitely. I study fish also and insects, and then sometimes now moving into looking at salamanders that rely on streams to survive, and starting to work with some new researchers that are really interested in the other types of insectivores that feed on things that live in streams. So the insects we looked at today. So for example, bats rely heavily on the insects that live in streams. They are insectivores, or in other words, they eat insects. And so now increasingly my research group is kind of moving out to looking at not only what's in the water, but what relies on what's in the water.
Awesome. Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, Ms. Wells Crew. Have fun in phys ed.
Thanks.
All right, let's grab another class here. We have 7th graders with us. Let's get them in here. I believe they're in Squamish. How we doing?
We're doing really good. We have a question about collection. We want to know what the best way to collect is. Is it to scrape rocks? Is it to dip the nets into the mushy bit at the bottom? What would be the best way?
I think that most of the diversity is hanging out on the rocks. So I think the best way is to rub the rocks. You can also kick the rocks with your feet. For sure, going into that mush at the bottom is going to release some insects as well, but you typically find these insects called chironomids there, which are like little worms. And I don't mean to be biased, but in my opinion, they're not the coolest of insects. They don't have all the other features that the insects that live on rocks on. So the ones that build those like little sleeping bags, they build their sleeping bags often onto rocks or branches. And the mayflies like to hang out on those rocks as well. They grip onto them. So I think going around and pushing around those rocks and rubbing them with your hands, kicking them with your feet into your net, even just picking up a rock and looking at it, you'll find a lot.
All right, 7th graders, great question. Let's go to another camera classroom. Ms. Nielsen's group is hanging out with us. How are we doing today, 5-6s?
How are you guys doing?
Good.
All right, hey everyone.
Okay, they had a question for you. They were excited by the bug collection, and they were wondering what was like the biggest bugs you tend to find in freshwater.
Cool. One of my favorite ones is called a megaloptera. And so I invite you to look it up on this website called macroinvertebrates.org. Where there's pictures of all these different insects. It's an amazing resource. And megaloptera are sometimes get so big they could be like this, like, you know, as long as my hand even, maybe. And they have pinchers, so you got to be careful. They can pinch you. It doesn't hurt. I've had it happen many times. The other you can find other things than insects, right? So crayfish, for example, are a common thing that we'll find in these streams, and they can get quite big. And you can they don't like to be out of the water for long. So if you do find a crayfish, it's really important to release it back into the water quickly. But you can pick it up by its back, well away from its pinchers, take a look at it, and then release it again. They get big.
All right, great question. Who's still with us? Oh, Mr. Hancock's back. Let's see if the microphone's working. We're going to Ontario. Mr. Hancock, I don't know what your mic's doing today, but we can't get you. Let me see. Let me check the chat. There's questions in the chat. I bet you sent us some. So see, Mr. Hancock. Oh, here we go. Oh, the trees that we were seeing. What are some of the types of trees we're seeing around us?
So we're surrounded by a variety of different coniferous trees around us here. Spruce, pine. I'm just looking out the window to check. I wasn't paying very much attention.
I think we saw some jack pines yesterday.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of jack pines yesterday. Jack pine and spruce are the main thing that we find in this area. We've also seen a bunch of poplars. Yesterday when we were driving down to the North Saskatchewan River, we were looking at the forest beside us, and I could tell this is a forest that had been harvested some time ago because poplars were coming up, and poplars are kind of that first generation of trees that will grow back in after a clear cut, unless it's planted. So here often we'll send in people to plant after we harvest trees to regenerate the forest, and then we'll send in more coniferous trees, jack pines, spruce.
All right, Mr. Hancock, I think we've got your sound. It just came in. Okay, we'll pop back. We might have time for another one. Let's see who's back here with us. Ooh, Seaforth Public School. Oh, they're not in the call, but they sent questions in via the chat, so their camera's not connected. Let's see. Oh, we'll go to Quebec next, but let me see if I can find one from Miss Seaforth's crew, see if there's one in here. Ah, there we go. Oh, no Cam and Mike. No, that's okay. No big deal. Oh, there we go. They're wondering about your favorite invertebrate to find. I think we kind of got that one.
Ooh, that's
but there
tough.
might be another one there.
So there is this one species of Trichoptera or caddisfly that builds its sheaths into these kind of like it looks like a seashell almost, into this circular shape. And that would be my favorite one to find because I think they're just absolutely beautiful. They're called Helicopsichidae. And you can look them up. They're really incredible. I love the way that they're able to build their sheaths. I also invite you to look up, there are some artists that have taken Trichoptera or caddisfly and put them into like bins of water with a bunch of little pieces of gold and different gems. And then the insects have gone ahead and built their sleeping bags or sheaths with those pieces of gems. And so it makes for this incredible piece of art to look at. That's like a collaboration between the artist and the insect. And then, hopefully the insects are re-released, which is something I wanted to mention. I'm going to bring these insects back to the stream after today's session so they can go back to their homes peacefully.
All right. I said we're going to Quebec next, and I wasn't kidding. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Okay. Did you see any fish while you were on your hike near the water?
Yeah, definitely. So yesterday, as we were stopping at our different streams, we did see a bunch of little juvenile fish. So juvenile is the word for little baby fish. And that's what's so cool about streams. They're actually habitat for so many different types of fish that they kind of like grow up there, and then they'll move into bigger rivers once they get big enough to be in those bigger habitats. So streams are actually really important habitat for little fish, and we often see a lot of them. We think we might have seen some trout yesterday, and I think that's just the one species we saw. So yeah, lots of cool fish for sure.
And also, was any of your insects poisonous?
That's a great question. I don't believe that any insect, any macroinvertebrate that you would find in a stream in Canada would be poisonous. I have never heard of that. I don't think that's a thing. And I'm fairly, I have like touched them, picked them up, looked at them a bunch, never had any problems. So no, I don't think we have any poisonous insects here. It's one of the wonderful things about winter, compared to the tropics in a country like Canada where there's winter and it gets cold, we tend to not house as many insects or species that carry diseases or that are poisonous. And so although it does mean that we get cold in the winter, there's the advantage of having less difficult interactions with bugs.
All right.
We have one more.
Okay, squeeze one more in.
What bugs are the most common that you find? Like, what bugs do you find the most of?
So there's mayfly, caddisfly, stonefly. Those are like the three families of bugs that we find. There are like thousands, hundreds of species within each of those different families. But actually one thing that's kind of cool is those three families, their scientific names are Ephenomoptera, Plecoptera, and Trichoptera. And the acronym EPT is an acronym that's commonly used in science to talk about the health of streams. So the number of EPT, or these three different families you find, tells us all about the health of streams. And I think like if any of you know people that fly fish, they'll know all about mayflies and stoneflies because people use them very much in their, they'll capture them and use them for fishing or make lures that look a lot like mayflies so that they can then replicate the insect's behavior and try and catch fish.
All right. Whew. The connectivity has held on.
Yeah. Awesome. Just wondering if anyone has questions for Jason or Ross that are also still here with us.
We do still have a few classrooms hanging out with us. A few classrooms had to go to lunch or to recess. But if you have a question for Jason or Ross, you can pop it into the chat. Let's see. There's a few questions here left over in the chat. Which one?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. We're good.
Yeah. Do you have any idea about the river? How deep the Saskatchewan River would have been where we were?
Oh.
I actually do.
Oh, there we go.
Turns out it's 1 to 3 meters deep on average. You know, this river goes so far throughout Canada, and it's often very wide, much wider than it is deep. So it's a beautiful river. Highly recommend it. But 1 to 3 meters is approximately what the depth is. Great question.
All right. We are at the hour mark, so I think it is time, because many classrooms had to leave for different activities. Recesses are starting. I can't believe the connectivity held out. We had to kind of string it together piece by piece, but we flew the drone. We went to the creek. We met everybody. We saw the gear. We saw the insects. I think we did pretty well today, Dalal. What do you think?
I think we did awesome. It was so nice to connect with you all and share a little bit of the work we're doing here, trying to find streams that can help us answer some important questions about how it is that we can protect freshwaters well into the future.
All right. We got Ross here, the whole team. So good to have the whole team here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so
There's
much
Jason.
for joining.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We've got more events coming your way as the modules work through. We can't wait to see you again. Keep your eyes on social media. Maybe we'll send some posts to classrooms as well, or maybe some videos as well in a folder so you can follow the rest of our journey over the next few days. All right.
Awesome.
Great to see everybody.
Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
so much.